Yeah, boy.
Alrighty, time for another Souls-like RPG. Asterigos Curse of the Stars is a game I actually never heard of until a few days ago. It recently released on PlayStation, Xbox, and PC, so a buddy of mine told me to try it out. This game has a lot to offer, but like everything in life, it isn't perfect. So let's delve in a bit and figure out if Asterigos is the game for you. The main character is Hilda, a young girl trying to become a warrior just like her father. She can be a bit whiny at times, but for the most part, she's growing to become a hero and defeat monsters of all sizes. You have your typical Souls-like mechanics such as a leveling system, healing flasks, and multiple weapon types. The health flasks are found all over the world, letting you gain more and more, but they do not replenish when resting. And I don't dislike this because you can hold a lot of them at one time. The leveling system is pretty extensive, allowing you to max out your power in whichever weapon type you like. And the stats you will increase are attack power, health, and magic. This gives you plenty to work towards and give you a goal in the game besides collect items and do story. The weapon selection in Asterigos is pretty cool. You get to choose from sword and shield, dagger, hammer, spear, staff, and bracelets. Each has a unique attack style along with powerful combos. 2 weapons can be equipped at any time, and the cool thing is you can combo with both at the same time. So say you chose sword and staff like I did. There's an awesome attack combo which lets you swing your sword twice and then blast out a magic attack from the staff. The cool ways you can switch between weapons not only during combat, but in the middle of attacking is a massive part of this game. It sets it apart from other Souls-like RPGs and gives it a unique feel, at least in combat. I highly recommend the staff as it's an excellent ranged option and keeps you safe from attack most of the time. The sword and shield is great for blocking, but each weapon variant does something different, so make sure to try them all out. The world itself is sort of open world, but not really. I kinda got a little bit of Dark Souls 1 vibes because you can open up areas of the map that connect back to others. But here we do have a central hub for quest elements and upgrading gear. You'll also reach these magical tables which provide you with your checkpoints. You'll respawn here if you happen to die. Initially, you may be confused as to why you cannot fast travel at these points. Turns out later on down the story, you do gain access to a fast travel feature on these tables. We just need to wait until we reach that point in the game for it to be unlocked. There are items you'll find if you explore enough, and these can be used to upgrade weapons and craft defensive trinkets. One aspect of Asterigos that I'm unsure on at this point is the fact that you aren't finding weapons in the world. One of the greatest advantages Souls-like games offer is the reward system. Beat a secret puzzle or a difficult boss, and you can usually come away with a new weapon from it. Here, you get all the weapons after the introduction area, so that progression system is lacking a bit. Later on, this is made up for, however, when you find different elements for your weapons. This lets you switch to multiple different elements at any given time, so you can see what does more damage against any enemy, and have different movesets as well. One massive part of this game is story. There's a ton of story. If you don't like dialogue in your video games, I unfortunately cannot recommend this game to you. There were times when I was talking to an NPC for 10 plus minutes. Of course, you can always skip this stuff, which is a nice option to have, but it's hard to skip story when it's a large part of the experience. The Dark Souls series had a major advantage because almost all the story in those games is told through item descriptions and environmental details. Here you have so many different characters that I often found myself forgetting names, and it doesn't hold the same mystery. That being said, this is a fantastic game if you like a decent amount of story. Essentially, you're a young warrior in a new and unknown land. Everything you see and hear is different, and everyone has information to offer you about the curse or the politics of who's in charge. So there's a lot of cool story here to get into, and I think it enhances the overall gameplay most of the time. We still see the old gaming sin of freezing our character in place while people talk around us, but other than that, it was a pretty fun and even cinematic experience at times. Which brings me to graphics. This game is gorgeous and full of detail.
By the north wind, such a grand city wall. This must be Aphis.
Your character doesn't look ugly like in some games, and every new region of the game gives off a different feel. The intro area is full of greenery and relays a feeling of adventure. The sewers are dark and force you to be a little on edge at times. Then you have a city to explore, which is covered in fog and hidden enemies awaiting your next move. The world is very nice to look at and makes you want to explore more. Music is also important when you talk about cinematics, and this game has some darn good sound effects on top of a great soundtrack. Water is often enjoyable to run across, and your weapon attacks sound powerful as well. Boss fights always have great sounds going on during the different animations, and the action feel always kicks in at the right time. And bosses, of course, are a major part of any Souls-like game. Asterigos has very large bosses that all look pretty cool. I played on normal and beat every boss first try so far, well, except the tutorial boss, ironically. So the difficulty isn't massive, but I usually had to use plenty of potions to survive. Each feels unique and dangerous while not being nearly impossible. You'll die if you don't get their attacks down, but there is plenty of leeway because your character has a butt ton of stamina. I mean, a lot. Often I'll just start every new fight by spamming the roll button just to learn attacks more safely. Which the stamina does feel nice, especially since you can usually dodge in the middle of your own attack, letting you always avoid damage unless you truly don't get the attacks. And if that was enough to convince you what kind of game this is, there are mimics. And yeah, these ones are no pushovers. I was very surprised when I came across one for the first time. Is Asterigos Curse of the Stars worth your time? I think it really depends on what kind of a gamer you are. If you enjoyed Immortal Phoenix Rising, I would definitely recommend it to you, specifically because they have very similar artworks and story elements. If you enjoy Souls-like combat that is a bit slower, then I would also recommend it. However, I am going to bring up that story again because there's a lot of it. If you truly hate long dialogue options, this really isn't for you. But there is a lot of extra dialogue options if you're looking to fully immerse yourself into a different world. This game is good. I would dare even say it's great. The fun combat with the staff has really gotten me into it at the moment, and they don't really tell you everything about why you're doing what you're doing, still keeping some of that intrigue alive. If you're looking for a new and interesting RPG, I would definitely check out Asterigos Curse of the Stars, as it seems to have much to offer, and the Greek mythology feel of it is pretty fun. Thanks for watching, and if you would consider hitting that like button, I greatly appreciate it. Catch you next time.